I guess, with the biggest of that bunch, and that is Microsoft. I mean, they've been hitting it out of the park the last few quarters. Does that continue?
They're the Scotty Scheffler of software. And the reality is that, this is a company firing on all cylinders. In the AI revolution, they're really the one benefiting front and center in terms of everything we're seeing on cloud. I mean, I think when it comes to AI and it comes to this next stage of growth, this is going to be a $5 trillion market cap in the next 18 months.
And you're comfortable with the amount of money that they're spending on CapEx and the potential return on that?
You want them to continue. I think they're spending maybe too little. And that's what you saw with Alphabet this week. This is an arms race going on. And Nadella recognizes this is the time, pedal to the metal. Because the demand, we think Street's underestimating demand at 15, 20%. So a lot of the bears, they continue to miss these stories because they're focused on, in those caves in hibernation mode. They can't see AI in the spreadsheets. I think Microsoft's a good example. Some of the parts, and continues to be a table pounder name.
Well, speaking of spending, I mean, Meta has been doing a ton of spending as well. Of course, a lot of headlines about some of the hires, the personnel spending that they've apparently made in order to attract talent here. What do you think Meta's transformation is starting to look like right now? I mean, we've gone from just a pure play social media company to that effort into the metaverse, and now clearly Zuckerberg really sees a future in AI.
Yeah, and Zuckerberg is a wartime CEO right now because he recognizes this is going to be not just the golden age for tech, but when it comes to Meta, that consumer AI revolution, I mean, they're going to be one of the ones leading it. And you start to monetize those billions in terms of from an install base, you're looking at a 4-digit stock in terms of Meta. And that's why it's good money to continue to invest. And I think the street is still, underestimating what this growth cycle is going to look like on the other side. And I continue to believe it's a fourth industrial revolution. And this AI party, it's 10 p.m., it was 9 p.m., and that party goes to 4 a.m.
Where do you think the product cycle is going for, particularly for these companies? Is it going to be, in terms of what's going to generate revenue and profitability from this AI investment, is it going to be devices? Is it going to be, ads and services that they're attaching to it? Where?
Look, it's the ripple effect. For every dollar spent on a NVIDIA chip, we think there's an $8 to $10 multiplier across the rest of tech. So you think about the hyperscalers, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon. Look at Oracle. Look at the renaissance happening names like Oracle. Then you think about the actual use cases, Palantir, Snowflake, MongoDB. And then it also ripples onto the consumer side. Meta, ultimately, I think what we're seeing from Alphabet and others. And that's our view. I mean, we have the Ives AI 30, talks about like second, third derivatives as his fourth industrial revolution plays out.
All right, let's talk about Amazon. I mean, we're going to get their results too, and they're kind of all over the map here. Obviously, we think of them as a retailer, but they're really more, obviously, of a tech company, if you will. Is this an AI story, or should we be looking at it differently?
Oh, 100% AI story. And I think Jassy, he feels like on that AI part, he's on the outside looking in. But I think this is now the velvet ropes open up and they get into that part. This is going to be, I think, the start of a watershed 4 to 6 quarters for Amazon because of AWS and because of what we see when it comes to monetization of the cloud in terms of this next stage of growth. I mean, we think it's $2 trillion over the next 3 years that's going to be spent across enterprise. Amazon's going to play a huge role there.
Any other players out there, Dan, that you think could benefit that maybe we're not paying attention to?
Look, I think when you think about what's happening across AI, I think cybersecurity is going to be a huge beneficiary. Palo, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, CyberArk, and others. And then there's names like Pegasystems, when it comes on the cloud side and in terms of software. I continue to view Akko as our favorite nuclear play. I mean, that to me is the way to think about AI. It's the second, third, fourth derivatives as this all plays out.